Welcome to Life Lessons with the Reading School District. I'm Kristen Boyd, Director of Community Engagement, and today we have Miss Jeannette DeAngelo, who has been our school show director at the high school for 40 years. So I'm going to let Miss Jeannette introduce herself, and then we'll get into some questions. Miss Jeannette.
Hi, Kristen. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome.
My name is Jeannette DeAngelo, and I am the director for Reading High School's school show. I have been involved with the school show since 1975 in many different capacities, first as the choreographer and then as the director. And over the course of the years, I've passed the baton on a little bit to Danny Merkel, who now is the choreographer, and I have my daughter working with me as my assistant director. But I actually was in the very first show that Reading High School did in, oh boy, I shouldn't even say this, but in 1967.
And what show was that?
It was Bye Bye Birdie.
Oh, wow.
And Terry Reedy was an English teacher back then and decided that it was time that Reading High School have a musical theater program. And so I auditioned, and at that time we had so many kids that were auditioning that we did a dance chorus as well as a singing chorus. And I was selected for the dancing chorus. You couldn't be in both. And I got to faint over Conrad Birdie. And he was a handsome young man. I don't know, how we were lucky enough to find him. He was an industrial vocational student. And unfortunately, he died the summer after we graduated. He was in one of the gas explosion accidents in Reading.
That's sad.
Yeah.
But so for you, what connected you to the theater when you first started? What was it about it that really kind of, got your soul happy?
You mean when I first started in 1967?
With your first show.
Okay. Well, I've always had a love for the theater. I was fortunate enough that my parents took me to see Reading Civic Theater's productions back in the day. And I always loved the ability to be somebody different. Maybe somebody that you wouldn't normally be. I liked the team building that occurred in producing a Broadway show because it's not about just the leads or just about the cast. It's about the crew and the pit and working together and building this final amazing product. So, and now my love was dancing. I was a dancer and I loved that. But as I grew into it, I love the whole aspect of it.
So for you, you've had such a longevity with our district. What keeps you coming back?
The kids and my love for the activity. When Terry Reedy quit, he retired. He really didn't quit. He retired in 1980 was his last show. So I took over in the directorship position in 1981, and I promised him that I had the love and passion for it as much as he did. I believed in his mission statement, which was to involve any school, any kid in that school that wanted to be a part of the program could. And so I said, as long as God allows me to, I'm going to stay a part of it. And I taught in the Reading School District. I love the Reading kids, and that's what keeps me coming back.
And I know you've had many, many success stories, but we've actually had a few kids who have gone on to Broadway or big-time productions. Can you talk a little bit about that and then how that makes you feel to know that you played a hand in that? Well,
our biggest success right now is Jensen Blimline, who actually appeared on Broadway in Rock of Ages.
Nice.
And he was gracious enough to, we took the kids up to see him, and he was gracious enough to meet them afterwards. He did a talk-back session with them. And he actually did get his first start on the Reading High School stage.
Yeah, tell people that story, because he wasn't necessarily interested in
No, he was an athlete. That was his big thing. Oh, no, I'm an athlete. And in fact, I had him as an Algebra 2 student, and I needed guys for Guys and Dolls. So I said to him, Jensen, he said, I need some guys. Can you come out and audition? Oh, no, I can't do that. And I said, no, it'll be really cool. You wear cool fedora hats, you wear these zoot kind of things. I said, it'll be really cool. Nah. I said, kiddingly, do you really want to pass, Jensen? Do you really want to pass math? Kiddingly. And we laughed. Next day, he came out, he auditioned, and he's never left the stage.
Awesome.
Yeah, he did all of our years at Reading High. And then he went on to community theater, like to Alpha, Omega, and Janice. I don't know if Genesius was one, but he did other community theaters. Then eventually went to AMDA, graduated from AMDA, and then he did tours and, just kind of moved up the ladder. He also performed in the Lincoln Center's production of The Sound of Music, South Pacific, where he was an understudy for Stu Pot, and then we took the kids up to see him with that too. So he's made it, and he got his start on our stage, which makes me so proud. That our program is doing some really, really good things for the kids. It's not just a social activity. I treat it as a learning experience and an opportunity for the kids to learn more than just performing, time management skills, team building skills. So I don't approach it just as a social activity. And maybe I should, but that's not how I feel it should be. And it's worked so far.
Absolutely.
Now, we also have Danny Gardner, who is really doing...
Fantastic.
Yeah, he's doing a great job. He just performed with Tommy Toome in, oh my gosh, see now I'm brain fading. And I went up to see the show, Lady Be Good. And he was the lead. He played the Fred Astaire role. He had a fabulous tap solo. I mean, he was just amazing, got great reviews. Isabel Santiago has had great success. She's done lots of tours. Absolutely. And she was actually toured in the Heights, which is the show that we did last year.
Right, and she got to come back and visit the cast.
Yeah, and she actually performed with them.
That's fantastic.
At our rehearsal, and so that was really cool. I'm getting goosebumps as I'm talking about this. Yeah. And we've had a lot of successes with people that have crossed our paths and our stage and our shows that have remained local as their choice. It's hard to really make it up in New York City. There's no doubt about it.
Absolutely.
Sometimes you go up, you maybe try for a year or 2 or 5 years, and you say, this just isn't for me. So they'll come home, they'll get I like when you talk to them, a real job, and then, but they continue doing community theater. So they still are pursuing their love. It's just not in a paid position. So, and then we had one other girl, this goes back to like 1986, a girl by the name of Lakey Evans, who is a member or was a member of the Alvin Ailey dance troupe.
Wow.
And I think she still is, and she has her own performing arts center up in New York. I'm not sure exactly where in New York, if it's Brooklyn or whatever.
Well, it's exciting to see our students succeed, especially in the arts. So I think that's one of our strengths at the Reading School District.
Yeah, and there's more. Robert Derby is performing down at Walt Disney World, just got back from Tokyo, Disneyland. There's so many that we probably are not aware of.
And are doing great things. And I know we mentioned In the Heights, which was last year's show, rave reviews really seemed to connect with our kids in our district and community. So tell us about this year's show. What do you have planned?
Well, after last year's show, what do you do to follow that? I mean, and that was a concern of the kids that were coming back. It was all of the shows that I've done in the past 40 years. I could sit here with you and I could give you something special about every show. But last year's show, I think because they could connect, we were talking about bodegas. We were talking about being the first in their families to go to college, which is what the show was about. This tight-knit community of Washington Heights, they got it. And I think that's what made it so special. I have to be honest, we've never, in the 40 years that I've done the show, ever had rehearsals where everybody was always there, and that was the case last year. So how do you follow that? And so we felt the kids that were remaining were kids that were ready to take on the topic of rent. As I mentioned before, I wanted to be a learning experience, and these kids of today weren't born in the HIV/AIDS era. And so we have spent a great deal of time talking to them about the disease, And although it's not eradicated, it certainly isn't what it was in the 1980s. In the 1980s, people really, if you had HIV,
it's considered a death sentence.
Well, they moved away from you. They, I don't want to. If I touch you, I'm going to get it. So this has been a real learning experience for the kids. And so people know that it is the school edition. So the songs are somewhat shorter. The material has been modified, obviously, so that it can be done by, high schoolers. I think also, even though it has been modified, it's stayed very true to the play.
There.
Absolutely. And I think the kids are growing through it. Now, we've had a lot of missed rehearsals because of the weather.
Absolutely.
But I'm happy with what we have so far. I think it's going to be a great show. And I think the kids were ready for this challenge because the kids that are in it for 4 years, it's my job to try to provide for them shows that are different for all 4 years. And we did, Footloose. As the people that were ninth graders did Footloose. Then we did Camp Rock the musical, which was an area premiere. And then we did In the Heights, which was another area premiere. And now they're having an opportunity to even step it up further and bring this story that it was a Tony Award-winning story. They have this opportunity to do Rent, which I don't think many kids would have that opportunity to do. And this is a good show also for the Reading kids because it does require diversity. It's not about diversity like last year's show.
Right.
But it requires diversity, I think, for it to be done correctly. And so I think it's a good fit for the kids that we have this year. I'm very encouraged that it will be a great show if people just allow it to be.
So tell everyone, when are the shows so that they can come out and support?
Okay, the show dates are Friday, April 17th at 8, Saturday, April 18th at 8, and Sunday, April 19th at 2.
Very good. And those are always held at the iSchool Auditorium. So we invite anyone. You can check our website at readingsd.org for more information. We'll keep you updated with videos and pictures of the school show as it starts to shape up. And we just want to take time to thank Ms. Jeannette for coming out today, talk a little bit about her school show experience and what people can expect this year from us. Have a great day.